As a Java developer, there are a number of different ways that you can connect your applications to InterSystems IRIS data platform. And given the powerful, multi-model nature of InterSystems IRIS, this connection flexibility is very important to your application development, opening up opportunities to both improve application performance and speed up application development. There are 4 APIs available for connecting Java applications to InterSystems IRIS: JDBC, XEP, the native API for Java, and Hibernate. To demonstrate where each of these 4 APIs may be useful, let's consider a scenario where you are developing an application to estimate taxi costs. One part of your application may be particularly well suited to use a relational data model, for instance, querying for past taxi records. In this case, JDBC, an extremely common API used for accessing databases from Java applications, will allow you to access InterSystems IRIS data in a relational way. By using JDBC, your application can connect to InterSystems IRIS and perform SQL operations on your data. You can perform standard create, read, update, and delete operations, and you can also call stored SQL procedures. Connecting via JDBC is very simple, especially if you are already familiar with the technology and how to create JDBC connection strings. All that's required is for your application to be able to access the InterSystems JDBC driver, a jar file included in the InterSystems IRIS installation directory. Additionally, it is important to note that the other 3 Java APIs all use the underlying connection protocol of JDBC, meaning that all 4 APIs can be used side by side in your application without setting up entirely new connections. Back in your application, another part of your code may be better suited for working with objects, for instance, ingesting real-time data from each taxi on the road. This is where XEP will be a great choice, as it is an API optimized for high throughput and extremely fast transfer of objects. An additional jar file is required when using XEP, but with that reference, your application can process a high volume of real-time object-oriented data for all of the taxis on the road. It's entirely possible that your application only needs one of these APIs, or perhaps a combination of JDBC and XEP covers your relational and object-oriented requirements. Still, there are times when your application may benefit from using the remaining 2 APIs for Java in InterSystems IRIS as well. The native API for Java can be used to directly access the underlying data structures in InterSystems IRIS. These data structures are called globals. The flexibility of globals allows InterSystems IRIS to provide multiple data models out of the box, and it also enables you to create custom data structures. While using the native API requires a thorough understanding of your data structures, foregoing typical relational or object-oriented access and directly accessing the underlying globals can enable you to increase your application's performance. Additionally, the native API allows you to call InterSystems IRIS class methods and routines written in InterSystems ObjectScript. So, if your taxi application wants to leverage methods within InterSystems IRIS, perhaps a method written that calculates a predicted tip amount for the taxi ride, or methods already in InterSystems IRIS that allow you to analyze comments and identify top characteristics for each driver, you can call these methods from your Java application using the native API. Lastly, a popular third-party framework for object-to-relational mappings in Java is Hibernate. Where Hibernate may be particularly useful is in a situation where your data model is complex and requires you to map Java classes to your database. For instance, there may be a piece of your taxi application that needs to process data trends from multiple vendors, potentially using different and complex data structures. If you are familiar with Hibernate, you are free to leverage your expertise and use Hibernate as your API to connect to InterSystems IRIS data for that part of the application. Using JDBC, XEP, the native API, or Hibernate, your Java applications have a variety of different options for connecting to InterSystems IRIS. With the ability to leverage all 4 APIs from a single Java application, you are more empowered than ever to build important solutions with InterSystems IRIS.